UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. This is the coming great deception. However, when we go up, they come down. When we go up, they show up. Very special guest today, Karin Wilkinson, the author of Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest. There it is. You can go to Karin's website. You can go to our website. It's on Amazon. Folks, if you have not read this, you're clueless. You really are. And we're going to get into that. But first, a word from our trusted sponsor. How fast can stock market sentiment change? In an instant, folks. Just ask NVIDIA investors. Nearly $600 billion in market value wiped out overnight. No warning, no second chances. Noble Gold Investments is alerting all clients, diversify now. Market crashes don't wait. They strike fast, devastating the unprepared. But smart investors, they're already one step ahead, protected and prepared. For nearly a decade, my friends at Noble Gold Investments have helped thousands protect their wealth with gold IRAs and physical gold. With over $2 billion in precious metal sales, Noble Gold is a trusted choice for Americans serious about financial security. Gold, it's real, it's yours, it retains value. And now, when you open a qualified account, you'll receive 2 5-ounce Silver America the Beautiful coins free. Are you diversified? If not, when will you act? After your portfolio is down 10, 20, 30%? Or will you protect your portfolio now? The next market crash won't send a warning. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com today. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Don't just grow your wealth, guard it. Folks, we did. We invested several years ago, and I'm really glad we did. noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Remember, there's no guarantee here, and you look into this investment. Talk to your financial advisor before you make the investment, as there is no guarantee. But I got to tell you, personally, I'm glad we invested in noblegoldinvestments.com. So, Karin, thanks so much for joining us today. It's always great to have you, and I try to make it at least once a month just to touch base. I know when the News Nation interview came out with, I think his first name is Jake Barber. We had yourself on, Pastor Scott. It was a little roundtable thing, which was fantastic because we needed to, give our assessment of what this man is promulgating, which I find extremely dangerous, which is the perfect segue to get into one of the topics I want to talk about, and that is CE5. Who's promulgating it, and why should we warn people about this, and why is it dangerous?
Right. Well, thank you again. It's always an honor and pleasure to be here with you too, LA. I love catching up. And watching, there have been a lot of specials, especially on News Nation, with Russ Colthart doing specials on things of the UAP nature and interviewing different people. And something I've noticed is it always comes back around to this CE5 narrative. No offense to the people who have put that together. There is a ton of information available on it out there in the web universe, but it always comes back to the CE5 and summoning of these UAPs and these entities. And I just get so upset when I hear this narrative constantly being replayed because it is so very dangerous. It is essentially summoning an entity that you don't know, you're not aware of who and what you're summoning. And there is a great deal of validity to the ability to do that. And it's something that we're not supposed to do biblically. And it's something that God doesn't say don't do this because he doesn't want us to see things or have fun or do something like that. Because it's dangerous. It's the equivalent of telling your child, don't put your hand on the hot stove. Don't stick a fork in the electrical outlet. These are dangerous things, But that people, but I want to try. I want to see anyway. Do you want to do that at the expense of now having some sort of a really demonic entity infiltrate your life, get attached to you, tell you lies, bring danger to you, your friends, your family, your loved ones? It's terrifying to me to see it just encouraged so often and with so much, so many different people backing up this process.
And I'm going to mention his name, Dr. Stephen Greer, because he's sort of the tip of the spear when it comes to CE5. He promulgates it. He talks about it, and what he at the end of some of his films, he'll talk about meditating and, opening yourself up through the vehicle of Eastern meditation. Now, I was with a guru. My third eye was opened. It's been closed. Thank you very much. I've done the work. Don't want to get there. But the dangers of this, specifically through Eastern meditation, you're awakening the Kundalini serpent. That's what you're doing. That's what this whole thing is about. And unfortunately, many in the East have just given themselves over to this. In fact, you could make a case that, unfortunately, with the Beatles, John, Paul, George, and Ringo, that opened the door to Eastern mysticism coming into this country in ways that we hadn't seen since the 20s. It was the greatest occult infusion of occult literature in decades. And I got that from my good battle buddy, the late Russ Dizdar, who talked about that. And then you get into things like Babylon Working, and Aleister Crowley with Lamb, which looks just like a gray, and all this Jack Parsons doing Alamantra Working. All these are rituals, opening up gateways, opening up portals. This is really dangerous. There's another dynamic, and I want to get your take on this. We know that when we go back into the ancient biblical texts, we know that the life is in the blood, and there's always ritualistic sacrifice done, always, which, like to Moloch or whoever, pick your god of choice, your false god of choice. And that opens up the gateway, it opens up the portal. We know that yes, there were UFOs, the Foo Fighters and stuff, but when Israel became a nation, everything just exploded. That, and you got and I realize this is a hot button issue, but when you get the abortion holocaust, because we're talking 1 billion babies slaughtered in their mother's wombs. Now, I have free speech here. I'm not advocating anything but pro-life, but in my opinion, it is a holocaust. And 1 billion people, I talked about this illustration before, and I want you to weigh in on this as soon as I'm done this illustration. If you were to go from Antarctica to Nome, Alaska, to Washington, D.C., to Los Angeles, to Miami, to Mexico City, and all the way down Central America, South America, to Tierra del Fuego, you wouldn't see one person. Everybody would be gone. Everyone, that's 1 billion. And that's what, with the whole abortion holocaust, and I use that word deliberately. In your opinion, the first question is, has this blood of the innocents opened up a gateway? Is it giving them power? Number two, please address the CE5 idea with Stephen Greer of meditating and opening yourself up to these entities.
Right. Oh, yeah, I 100% agree, because we know from not just our biblical texts, but even other belief systems in their ancient texts parrot the same information, as far as you have to spill the blood of the innocent in order to give this power to the evil and to the darkness. And if you look, that's really happened. And, me being taken as a small child, as an innocent young child, is just one example of, and not just me, but, thousands and thousands, maybe even millions of little children being taken and abused that way. So many of us, and it's just this constant attacking of those who have no defense, of the innocents. And it just continues on today. And it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. So yeah, I do believe that is that energy, that negativity, and that horrible just attack of the innocents and opens so much and so many portals and so much evil to come into the world. And we know this, biblically as well. As far as the second question was,
the whole idea of CE5 of deliberately, seeking some sort of a artificial means, whether it's meditation, whether it's ayahuasca, whatever, catapulting the person into that, dare I say it, the lower astral, because that's where these guys hang out. What are the dangers of that?
The dangers of that are enormous, because when we are going into this situation, and I know you'll be talking to my good friend and sister Vicky Joy Anderson soon, and she is really the expert on this. But when you're going into the lower astral or any astral realm. We are not equipped for that. We are equipped as humans to be here on earth, on this plane, and that's how God designed us and warned us specifically not to mess with those realms and those other heavens. So when we go into those realms, we're dealing with, and I have specifically personally dealt with, these little entities that are going to lie. They're going to say whatever they need to say to get you comfortable. They might say, well, I'm your grandma who passed away and
Exactly.
I favorite cookies were and your favorite color. Well, of course they do. They have a view of time, past, present, future. They can see it. You know, when I had my near-death experience, time did not exist linearly like it does for us, and it doesn't for them either. And that's why, you know, when you mention in Rungs of Disclosure about a nuclear holocaust being something
A trigger for them to show up.
trigger for it, because they can see things that we can't. They can see past, present, future in ways that we cannot. They are stronger. They have abilities that we don't understand, and so the dangers are just untold. We can't even imagine how dangerous it is because we can't even imagine what their powers are and what their abilities are because they're so different from ours, you know, and so far beyond what we can conceive of. And having been in their presence, they had the ability to control my thoughts, my feelings, my emotions, what my memories would be, you know, and I had to learn to block them. But that's not something that most people can do, and that something that happened over a lifetime of battling them. And, you know, having God in my corner and having God in my heart and in my soul, having that was the only way that I was able to protect myself from them. And what I noticed when they have these CE5 conversations on these shows and these interviews that I'm watching with others, people in the more secular world, what they're saying is, well, when people don't understand something, they tend to then jump to a biblical explanation, like it's a spirit, it's a this, it's a that. And we've got to be careful because that doesn't match the scientific process. Well, you know, that's not necessarily true because we have these amazing biblical documents that are these ancient texts that are proven to be valid. You know, when they talk about people and places and things, and they've been proven to be very valid. So we have ancient texts that fit into the scientific method. We have repeatable things that are happening. We have tangible things that are happening. We have physical things that are happening. I have physical things that have happened to me that are proof of this. But so if we stray away from the biblical narrative,
What's left?
what's left, right? And there's no protection. You're taking away just so much proof and information to help explain this. But instead, they want to go down the scientific method. Well, who gave us the science? Who gave us this information? Who gave us the molecules and who gave us the physics and all of these properties? God did. You know, it all has to come back to him, but they always want to push it in another direction. It doesn't go back to God. It doesn't go back. It does. Everything goes back to God. And that's where those dangers are. What I'm saying in all of these is they're pushing it away from God. They're pushing into CE5. They're pushing into, you do it. You're your own God. You're your own, you know, master of your own.
You are God. I love that one.
Yeah.
You are
That's
God.
why you're not a co-creator. You have a creator, not co-creator. Everything I do, all glory to him. I can't create anything without him. And if someone tells you you can, then they're lying to you.
You know,
And they're trying to save you.
with that in mind, you know, you talk about, and what amazes me about the other side of the aisle sometimes is, you know, they think they know the Bible, but they've never read it. That they just mirror the same old talking points that they've heard, you know, to discredit it. But the Bible is the only book on the planet which has a thread of prophecy, prophetic literature, from Genesis to the book of Revelation. There's no other book like it. No, not even close. And it's very complex, and I've been reading it for 45 years, and I'm just blown away every time I pick it up at the depth of what is there. And then you get the God-man Jesus, you know, and I get it. People in India say, you know, this guru rose from the dead, but in fact, he didn't. He's still in the tomb, and he's never going to rise from the dead. There's only one, the God-man Jesus. This is the Shroud of Turin, folks. I'll get it a little closer so you can see it. That is forensic evidence of the greatest event in all history, the resurrection of the God-man. And this was taken, you know, 2,000 years ago. There's the face. That's what he looks like. So when Secundapia took that picture of the shroud in 1898 and is developing it with the glass plates, that's the image that comes up. He almost dropped the glass plate. Now, it's not a forgery. We know that the carbon-14 dating is skewed. We have a film coming out of it, a shameless plug, but my business partner, Gil Zimmerman, and I are that close. Holy shroud, holy fire. Because, for folks that just dismiss the biblical narrative, it just shows two things: ignorance and arrogance. And because of the threat of prophecy, because of the forensic evidence that we have, this is the truth. This is the truth. And, let me ask you this, Karin. Why would the Lord tell us it'd be like the days of Noah, that men would faint for fearfulness coming upon the earth, that even the elect would be deceived if that were possible? And then Paul chimes in that the dragon, i.e. Satan, comes with all signs of lying wonders. I mean, if this isn't it, then, if the whole so-called UFO, UAP phenomena isn't the coming great deception, I mean, then what is it? What are we looking at? This is it. This is how you change the entire paradigm, global paradigm, in essentially a nanosecond. Your thoughts on that?
Oh, I 100% agree. And that when you look at where we are technologically, when you look at where we are genetically, the genetic mutations and the genetic abominations that are being carried out in labs all over the world, when you look at, we're back to the days of Noah, where they were mixing species, where they were intermingling the fallen angelic beings with humans, which we know is happening. I've seen it. I've experienced it. Others have. It's not just me. You don't have to believe me, those listening, but it's true. It's true for me, and it's true for thousands upon thousands of other people who've been through it. And it is absolutely like the days of Noah, the lying signs and wonders that are going on now before our eyes. It's incredible. Everything in that book would not have made sense even 20 years ago.
20 years ago, exactly.
And now it is all it makes perfect sense. And to see the people who are doing other shows and other interviews about UAP and non-human intelligence and aliens pushing back so hard against the Bible. What are they so afraid of? Why be afraid of something that's that's, in your opinion, just a book? Why push so hard against it? I think you do protest a little too much.
And they don't say that about anything else. It's just that biblical narrative, man. So let me ask you something. There's a lot of talk from the other side of the aisle, a lot of New Age people, a lot of people that think that these are, our sky gods, these extraterrestrials seeded all life on this planet. They started the world's civilization, a typical lie that we hear. But they say, oh, RH negative, they make this big deal about RH negative. And I've countered that by saying, well, maybe RH negative is the blood type that makes it easier for them to create the hybrids. Now, that's conjecture, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that is my hypothesis on this situation, is that we have RH negative blood types. They seem to come from a very specific area in the world, and it is less than 15% of the population goes along with green and hazel eyes, 2% to 8% of the population as well. And most of us with RH negative also have green or hazel eyes. And the thing that seems to me to be relevant in that is the difference between the RH positive and RH negative is simply a protein coating on the outside of a cell. It's a very simple thing. And for someone to come in and genetically manipulate a human to create that type of a bloodline so that they could more easily manipulate us, that wouldn't be so hard. I mean, we do those things in labs all the time. So my thoughts are, it's not a bloodline of another species. We aren't some ancient bloodline of an alien race. Those of us with RH negative blood are descendants of someone whose blood was possibly tampered with by a fallen entity trying to manipulate and be able to breed with humans as they did in the days of Noah. And having that protective protein coating taken off the blood makes it easier to manipulate. I have RH0 negative blood. I can give blood to anyone because my blood will not fight with someone else's blood. So it makes it easier to work with.
There you go.
And so my thoughts, my hypothesis on the situation, and it's just conjecture on my part as well, is that it was a manipulation on the part of another of a fallen entity, but it doesn't make us less human. It doesn't change anything about us. We still have the blood that God gave us, and we're still as human as anyone else.
Yeah.
It's just a little tweak that was made to try to manipulate us.
And you have spirit, soul, and body. So the Nephilim are soulless, the Greys are soulless, the hybrids are soulless. Only God can give a soul. Only the Lord can give a soul. So let's wrap this up. I like to keep things sort of short and pithy, as you know. But tell us where to get the book and where are you speaking next?
So the book is available exclusively at lamarzulli.com, lamarzulli.net. You can find links to that through my social media and my website, KarinWilkinsonAuthor.com, or anywhere that you can find the book anywhere where LA is speaking. And I am not sure where I'll be next. Honestly, we're just kind of waiting on some things to figure out what's going on next with me and with my health situation. So God willing, I don't know, but God willing, I'll be somewhere soon, and maybe I'll have an opportunity to speak somewhere soon as well.
Well, it's always great to touch base with you, and we do this. We try to do it at least once a month, so it's important that we do this. And thank you for weighing in on the CE5 and the RH negative, because those topics are very hot. People are talking about them. There's books, and we're pushing back. There's only one God, man, and that's Jesus. And he's the only one that rose from the dead. We're not talking about religion. We're talking about relationship. If you think you know him, but you don't know him, then you don't know him. And when you ask him into your heart, he'll come in and life will change. Just admit that, you've done things in your life that aren't exactly good. We call that sin. And that's what he came to die for the sin of all mankind forever. And it's the blood sacrifice one time. But when you open your heart to him and ask him in and confess your sins, he will come in. I promise you. Happened to me 45 years ago this June. My life has never been the same. Call on him. He will answer. Karin, I'll give you the last word, and thanks so much for joining us.
I don't think I could say it any better than that. Thank you for having me. Yes, call on him. He will answer. That is the only blood sacrifice that matters. That is the only one that matters. Invite him into your heart. He's there. He's real. He loves you. He wants to help you. He's the only one who can protect us and save us from the deceptions of this world. And there are many, and there will be more. And I see more every day. So yes, amen, brother. I agree with you 100%.
Thanks so much for watching, folks. Remember, UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. This is the coming great deception. However, when we go up, they come down. When we go up, they show up. Thanks so much for watching.